Brock Lesnar was replaced in the Royal Rumble by an NXT star. Ronda Rousey has responded to Vince McMahon's resignation from TKO, and we've got a rumour killer on Tony Khan and MJF's supposed heat. Stay tuned for the news. But first, Cody Rhodes has addressed the allegations levied towards Vince McMahon, who has obviously stepped down from his position within the TKO group. When asked about the situation in the post-pay-per-view press conference, Cody said, "I know as far as the news is concerned, we were finding out and reading the same thing that you guys were reading." And he said, "A dark cloud, certainly. As far as TKO, Nick Khan and the board clearly took it seriously, acted immediately." He went on to say that the crew, more than ever from a roster standpoint, is very family. Never seen anything like this, really bigging up the backstage atmosphere within WWE. Most of the time, wrestling locker rooms are fighting, talking trash, making fun of each other, sandbagging each other in the ring and all that nonsense. This crew is very team-based, and perhaps that's the ingredient that everyone is looking out for everyone. Obviously, as more news comes out, we'll be seeing it just like you do. So the big takeaway there, Cody saying that they were finding out at exactly the same time. It's a very press-friendly answer, obviously.
Yeah.
But what can you do in that situation? Cody did look uncomfortable. They were no doubt expecting these sorts of questions during the press conference, so it's a very difficult position to be put in when the news relates to somebody else.
Yeah, definitely. I think Cody, absolutely the consummate professional that he is, just has said this and said this statement in the best way he possibly could. And I mean, at least from the standpoint of them as a team on the roster, the people backstage, I'm glad they're kind of rallying together and morale at what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, that part of it is certainly good to hear. I mean, because it's an ongoing legal issue, I imagine they've definitely been briefed. And Cody giving perhaps more of an answer than he was even expected to. The fact that, I mean, he's certainly sort of diverted from the original question, but giving a PR-friendly answer. We'll keep you updated on the situation, obviously, as it unfolds. One man who was absent from tonight's Royal Rumble pay-per-view was Brock Lesnar, who's been implicated in that lawsuit. He was replaced by a certain NXT star. Mike Johnson of PW Insider reporting that Lesnar was withdrawn from the Royal Rumble, an NXT talent replacing him. That man is Bron Breakker, who actually went on to have a pretty good night.
Yeah, I'm really glad it was a really good showing for him. I believe his first Rumble as well, and he looked really strong in it too. Held Gunther above his head. My goodness gracious me. He also eliminated Finn Balor, Jimmy Uso, Ivar, and Omos as well.
Not bad going for a man who maybe wasn't meant to be in the match to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. And he looked tremendous in there too. Like just a future world champion right there. Feels like he's almost ready too.
Man, he's so explosive.
Yeah.
He came in, he's eliminating big names there.
Yep.
Former world champion for a bit, Finn Balor. You've obviously got Jimmy Uso, major component of WWE for an awful long time. Omos, who is massive, and also Ivar, who was there. But Brock Lesnar being pulled, it's unsurprising. But the report does go on to say that the belief within WWE is that under the old regime, and this is just a belief, but Vince McMahon would have booked Lesnar no matter what. He would have just cracked on. But with TKO now running the company, the feeling is that the organization will be more aware of how a Lesnar appearance would be perceived. The belief was that Lesnar would be going on to face Gunther at WrestleMania. I don't know if that's just sort of a dream match that people have talked about a lot, or something that they were actively planning. But given his involvement, Bron's involvement, I can believe it. I can believe that they were going to go forward with Lesnar Gunther, which would have been a massive, massive match. Really weird to have seen Brock Lesnar in the IC title picture if he's still holding it at that point, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
But what a dream match that would have been.
Yeah, I think, that was something that a lot of us were hoping to see from last WrestleMania. Obviously, we got the triple threat, and it was tremendous as well. There's been reports about Brock and Gunther for a little while. It was on the table, it was off the table. And it felt like the Royal Rumble, if everything was going forward, if Brock Lesnar was to be inserted into that match, it felt like that would have been the right time for us to get the ball rolling on that heading into WrestleMania. What that means for Gunther at WrestleMania now remains to be seen. You know, there's a lot of people that have been vying for that title. I think Bron Breakker had a great showing again, like I said, pressing Gunther above his head. Does that lead to something for Braun after he's had such a strong showing in the Royal Rumble? He kind of really proved that he can go toe-to-toe with a lot of these main roster people.
It's a really good shout because a lot of people were talking about Bron Breakker being the man, this is a few years ago now, being the man to dethrone Roman Reigns coming up. But maybe the more sensible option is that he is the man that Gunther drops that title to.
Could very well be.
I think he's deserving. I think that's a great match. Two powerhouses going at it. Time will tell on that one. Ronda Rousey has commented on the Vince McMahon situation with a rather interesting tweet, pulling no punches, saying Bruce Pritchard is basically Vince's avatar. If he's still around, Vince still has a hand in the business. Vince was still running things through Bruce when he was gone, in inverted commas, before. Speech marks, rather. So, yeah, like a pretty big claim from Ronda Rousey. I guess the thing is that, Vince, obviously, Bruce was Vince's right-hand man for an awful long time. But Bruce doesn't have any sort of, he's not on like a, he's not on a directorial level within the company. He's not a direct member of the board. So Bruce is still very much involved, but how much creative meddling is Vince doing right now? I'm not sure that Bruce has that kind of power. He's not on top. He's not the top guy. That's Triple H. Yeah,
exactly. And you know, with everything happening with TKO at the moment and the deals that they've been making too, is there a place for Bruce Pritchard at the moment if Vince McMahon isn't a part of things?
This is the thing, Matt. He feels like part of the old guard, and a lot of the old guard have departed in the last few years.
Yes.
I don't know. Time will tell on that one as well. We've got an update on a surprise Royal Rumble entrant. We saw TNA Knockouts champion Jordynne Grace participating in the Women's Royal Rumble. She had a hell of a good showing, looked tremendous out there. And we do have an update from Fightful, who said that they were told that WWE contact TNA this past weekend to inquire. Everything went through TNA, obviously. Grace is still signed with TNA. She had physical and blood work on Monday, flew to Florida Thursday to participate in the rehearsals. There were some within TNA who said that they heard this was a possibility earlier this month when there were broader WWE TNA rumours. Apparently Jordynne Grace, very easy to deal with, accommodating during the process. They really did her proud. It was really great to see not just TNA being name dropped, but a TNA contracted wrestler having such a strong performance in the Royal Rumble, and various what maybe felt like teasers for future bits with Jordynne Grace.
There was so many little bits and pieces from some of the different wrestlers as well. Obviously Ivy Now, and it had the suplex off and everything. And do you know what? When she was in that ring, she seemed like such a natural fit within a WWE women's roster.
She feels WWE, doesn't she?
And instantly, when we were doing the live stream and we saw her there, it was just like, oh, she could do this with this person. And I was getting way ahead of myself.
I had to reel you back in, didn't I? Your dream booking matches.
How cool would that be? And she definitely feels primed for something like this going forward. I know she said in the past that, you know, she's happy being in TNA because she gets to do more things that she wants to do at the same time.
Lighter schedule, doesn't have to do so many house shows at all. So, yeah, I don't know. It would be a shame for her not to do WWE proper at some point, but it would also be a shame for TNA, who are on the up right now. They're doing really, really good stuff. Their Knockouts division especially is fantastic, has been for a long time. It would be a shame for them to lose her.
Yeah.
It would be a big blow to the company, who have just lost a returning Naomi. Trinity, obviously, stepping foot inside a WWE ring today. She is back with the company. We are finishing off with a bit of a rumour killer on the falling out between MJF and Tony Khan, which wasn't a falling out. It's just a little note from Fightful saying, despite news emerging, Fightful Select have debunked this particular narrative that MJF and Tony Khan had a bit of a falling out. This is floating around on Twitter, so we just thought we'd correct it via Fightful, stating there were untrue rumours that picked up saying MJF and Tony Khan had a falling out this week. Don't believe everything you read. Lots of people saying that MJF was going to turn up at number 30 in the Royal Rumble. Didn't happen, because he's obviously still contracted to AEW, and I don't know why people are even doubting that.
Yeah.
That'll come back to bite bite me in the arse, no.
No.
He'll
I
turn
think
up on
there's
Raw
still,
tomorrow.
No, there's still stories.
He's
to
hurt
tell.
as well.
He's
hurt.
He's out for a bit. There's still stuff with the Cole scenario and everything as well. I think we're gonna get back to that eventually. But when it's Rumble season, we like to speculate.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, that's what it is. That's what it is.
I'm being unfair. Thank you very, very much for joining us. Cheers to everybody who joined us for the live stream reactions as well tonight. Andrew and I had an absolute whale of a time, didn't we, Andrew?
Yeah, it was lovely.
Screwed me out of the championship win. We will be back very, very shortly with more news, but stay tuned. WTF coming up on the channel very, very shortly, and you can catch all of the happenings from Royal Rumble, and there were heaps of them. We touched upon a few there, but you can catch up with everything that went down and what happened at, which is on the channel right now with Jack the Jobber. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Rumble's over. It's only a year to wait, and then wrestling's good again. Just kick it in. See you in a bit.